Okay, our attendees sort of group has been static now for a minute or so, so I think we'll make a start. Welcome everyone to the launch of the Gosport Story. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. Good morning. For those who don't know me or have not met me before, my name is Andy Grant. I'm principal at St Vincent Sixth Form College in Gosport, but I'm also representing the Gosport Places Chair today. And it's a privilege to welcome you all. It's brilliant so many of you have been able to join us on this call today as representatives of businesses and organisations from across the area. I'm conscious that many of you may not know who I am or what I do, and also why I'm excited by the Gosport Place initiative. So just a little bit of context regarding myself as your host today. I am Andy Grant, as I've mentioned, and I am the principal here at St Vincent Sixth Form College. For those who don't know St Vincent or not familiar with our curriculum offer, we are a sixth form that specialises in vocational learning, adult education and enhanced provision for students with moderate and lifelong learning difficulties. The college has been at the heart of Gosport education for over 30 years, providing high quality education, the results and student progress of which have seen the college ranked in the top 10% of all colleges in the country for vocational provision and progression for each of the last 5 years. And that's therefore led to approximately 97% of our student cohort progressing to higher education, employment or apprenticeships at the end of their education studies with us. I originate from Portsmouth and live in Portsmouth, but have worked in Gosport for the last 8 years. Previously, I worked in Fareham and at Eastleigh at colleges in those areas. I was appointed principal at St Vincent in January 2020. Had an interesting 9 months, as I'm sure you can appreciate, as a new principal, and that followed in 11 months of comment to the role, having worked at the college here in the senior capacity for the last 11 years. I think the prudent part for my role here in relation to the Gosport Story is I actually chose to come and work at St Vincent due to its focus and its mission to provide lifelong learning opportunities for its local community. We're very proud as a college of the role that we play in supporting the academic and personal development of students and the positive impact this has on the Gosport Story, more of which you will find out through this webinar. I feel very proud and privileged to speak to you today, not only as principal of Gosport Sixth Form College, but also the new chair of the Gosport Place Board. I believe that Gosport is a town full of opportunity, and through our work as a place board, and hopefully with your support, we can work together to support the development and promotion of the Gosport Story. So just a few basic housekeeping rules. Obviously, this is a virtual event. We will be recording the event and that will be distributed afterwards. I'd like to start by saying that the last 9 months have been a real challenge for us all, for our communities, and indeed Gosport as a place. And there is still and will be a level of uncertainty. However, we do know is that as people and their place is more important than ever. We had planned to deliver this event pre-March, but unfortunately timing wasn't quite right, as I'm sure you can appreciate. However, I'm sure you're all getting used to the Zoom and team worlds that we operate in, and like me, are looking forward to finding out more about what we can offer in terms of the Gosport Place and working together again to achieve that. So what is the purpose of today and why are we all here? Well, the reason is because we share a common interest and passion for Gosport, a desire for it to be a successful place for the benefit of everyone, and together we want to make Gosport even better and better known. And we do indeed have a strong story to tell. What we have to do is get our voice heard, get the noise of our places above regional, national and international areas. We need a simple story explaining what we're all about and what we're trying to achieve as a place. We need to work together to demonstrate a shared sense of ambition. What we do know is that in order to future-proof our economy, we will need better jobs, and especially for young people, and to have a chance at achieving that, we need a stronger, more compelling and competitive proposition of what the area has to offer, especially in relation to businesses and investors. In Gosport, there are many plans, interventions and projects underway, such as the Heritage Action Zone, which is great news for the area. However, we have felt there was a missing piece to the jigsaw, something that joins it all together. We were missing a forward-looking and critically a shared view of what Gosport could become, in essence, a Gosport story. Some of you may recall being invited to have your say to help shape the Gosport story via one-to-one conversations, focus groups, workshops and online surveys. What you will hear today is the results of this engagement activity and what this means for Gosport going forward. The story will help us focus, ensure we play to our strengths and that we grasp the opportunities that are in front of us. What by its real strengths will come from each and every one of us playing a part in bringing this to life, so that the rest of the world starts to see and hear a confident and consistent message about what makes Gosport special, regardless of which organisation is speaking. My job today is to act as a storyteller and to walk you through the new Gosport story and to tell you why it's been created, where it's come from and why it matters, with colleagues to demonstrate the relevance of it to businesses and organisations in the area today. So now let's get down to business. At the heart of the story, we realised we needed to identify the assets and strengths that are fundamental to defining what Gosport is all about, what makes this place, its people, and every aspect of it so special, and indeed what makes it different. We have called these aspects themes, and there are 3 of them that have been identified because elements of them have shaped the place that it is today, and they will certainly be central to its future. This is a story that comes from our roots, but is for our tomorrow. So extending the story analogy a little more, I am the storyteller here today, and I'm going to be joined by some characters who will help to illustrate what the story means to them. Our first theme is naturally part of our DNA. We have called this theme our deep blue water. Gosport's narrative is the song of the sea. Water is the natural asset that gave us our naval history. The same ways will power us forward once again as we repurpose former military bases, naval sites, and the waterfront gateway. In awesome heritage buildings, we will create inspiring spaces to grow new businesses and offices, studios, and marine technology facilities, sharing incredible waterfront views. The sea links the past with the present and provides opportunities for the future. In the same way, we will link the town with the waterfront, embracing our spectacular peninsula location and distinctive coastal experiences such as Stokes Bay and Leon Solent. The coastline of Gosport provides attractive places to eat, drink, stay in a boutique hotel, watch shipping activity, walk a dog, or simply sit and take in the views. With proposals for the future hosting of international sailing events in Portsmouth during 2021-22, we will have the opportunity to raise our profile as a centre for yachting and sailing excellence, spearheaded by our ambassador, British skipper and world record holder, Alex Thompson. To talk about their perspective on the story and why it's important for the place, I'm delighted to welcome Steve Norbury, Managing Director of Selden Masts.
Hi. Thanks, Andy, for that introduction. As Andy said, I'm Steve Norbury, Managing Director of Selden Masts Limited. Just to let you know what we do and who we are, we're part of a Swedish-owned group. We've got 5 manufacturing facilities around the world, and together we're the largest mast builder in the world. The Gosport facility is the 2nd largest plant in the group and accounts for about 25% of our global sales. So what we do is, if you look at a boat, we provide pretty much every product from the deck to the top of the mast, excluding the sails. So if you go down to Stokes Bay, or you go down to Leon Solent, and you see beach boats sailing around, small dinghies, we would supply all of the masts and the deck gear products for those boats. And our biggest customer for that product is RS Sailing, who are based in Romsey. At the other end of the scale, we supply spars for large ocean-going yachts. We've just recently provided the largest mast the group has ever made for an Oyster 745 that was built in Southampton, and that mast was 105 feet long. So we're a local-based Gosport business providing masts and deck gear for UK, mainly local-based boat builders. So we moved to Gosport in 2004, and what attracted us here was the place. It was the fact that it offered us a great location. Our success as a business comes from our passion for sailing and our passion for the sea. And our mission is to provide sailors and boat owners with better products in order to improve their sailing experience. Being based in Gosport allows us to be connected to the water every single day. From our factory, we can see sailors using our products, and that reminds us of what our mission is and what it is that we're trying to achieve. Gosport is steeped in maritime history, and that history is important to us. And in a small way, we feel that we're making Gosport's new maritime history right now. Whether it's the laser spars that we provided to the last 2 Olympic Games, so that's the world's best sailors competing for gold medals using products made here in Gosport, whether it's the spars for the Golden Globe race, which is a round the world race that happened a few years ago, or whether it's ocean-going yachts that leave Gosport and leave our shores to cruise around the world. We also make thousands of spas for RS Ventures and Laser Picos that take tens of thousands of kids onto the water every single year. And we equip the hundreds of boats which are living in Gosport's new marinas. COVID has taught people that to enjoy the sea, you don't have to go to Turkey, you don't have to go to Greece, and you don't have to spend thousands of pounds getting to the Caribbean. You can get afloat at home, pretty much where you live. For our industry, the staycation is real. New and used boats are absolutely booming. And it's not just sailboats, it's ribs, it's motorboats, it's kayaks. You can even get a paddleboard from Tesco's for £200. And as a peninsula town, Gosport is perfectly positioned to take advantage of this new impetus to stay at home, realise what assets you've just got round the corner, and hopefully getting afloat. And where there's marine activity, there's economic activity. Southampton, Poole, Weymouth, Cardiff, Hull, Liverpool are all part of a long list of towns that have realised their marine heritage and utilised their marine location and their waterside location to revitalise economic activity and provide facilities for local people. Gosport is a long way down that road, but there's potential to go so much further. So I'm supporting this initiative because I can see that potential, but right now I can see that we do have a problem. When we recruit people and when I talk to the staff that work here and come from the Gosport area, I'm amazed at how few of them are connected to the sea and realise the marine heritage that Gosport has. And it's amazing that people live here without realising one of our greatest assets. So I think for me, and one of the great opportunities for this place project is to get more people afloat, to get more people enjoying the waterside facilities that Gosport has and will have to offer, and to see the deep blue as a source of pleasure, to see it as a way of connecting to the place where we live, and also to see it as an employment opportunity. So to round off, I'd like to congratulate Gosport Council on this great initiative. Our experience of working with the council is that it works hard on behalf of the people of Gosport, supporting local business and to enhance the Gosport as a location. And knowing that we have a council that's behind us with our future plans and is committed to the success of the place where we operate gives us the belief that Gosport is the right location for us to be in. It's the right location for us to realise future growth and future expansion, and it's a great place to do business. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you, Steve, for that. Moving swiftly on then, and I think that the theme that we're going to be looking at next links very much to some of Steve's presentation, which again feels very much part of our DNA and reflects our sense of place. And this is what we've called the reimagining and animation of our history. Gosport's heritage sites are at the heart of the town's future economic development. Outside 2 London boroughs, Gosport has the most listed buildings in the country. With the help of Historic England, we have the chance as a heritage action zone to ensure that these buildings are protected for the future, breathing new life into places of heritage and making them more accessible to businesses, trusts and investors. For over 400 years, Gosport has played a central role in the nation's defence, supporting the ships, submarines and aircraft of the Royal Navy and the men and women who operate them. Our interpretation of history will shift from focusing on our built heritage to sharing and celebrating our social history, life and death, endeavour and tragedy. From the stories of the Georgian press gangs in the alleyways and snickelways in the 1800s to the heyday of cinema going when there were 4 picture houses in the town along with tram travel. In our public realm, in our signage and in our festivals and events, we will share the stories from all the decades and from all the perspectives that have created the experiences and emotional connections that we have as a place. By reimagining and animating our history, we will work together to share how Gosport families and heroes have been shaped by the sea. we're proud to be the largest and longest running annual grassroots celebrants of the UK's biggest festival of culture celebration, Heritage Open Days. We will work together to share our town's hidden history, to support a new focus on arts and heritage, which will revolutionise our visitor economy and cultural offer, influencing education and social policy. This would include raising the profile of our attractions, such as the Royal Naval Submarine Museum explosion, Gosport diving and hovercraft museums, and working more closely with sector partners to provide a coherent visitor journey and cross-promotional messages with suggestions for curated days and experiences. Redevelopment at Gosport Museum and Gallery will help bring history to life and involve people of all ages and backgrounds in sharing and interpreting our stories in relevant ways to engage new audiences. To give their perspective about this theme, please welcome Ben Scott Robinson, co-founder of the Small Robot Company.
Hello, my name is Ben Scott Robinson. I'm CEO of the Small Robot Company, which might sound an odd place to start to talk about history. But our mission is to help farmers to feed the world while regenerating the planet. And our sustainable robots, Tom, Dick and Harry, will deliver per plant farming for the world's biggest crops. With the winners of the Disruptor Award for the GB Entrepreneur Awards, and we've been featured in BBC, Economist and Wired magazines. Now, Small Robot Company was started in Gosport. And while we've had to move away since, we are keen to come back. And I wanted to tell you how we are merging the history of Gosport with an exciting new future with new technologies. So in the UK, there are hundreds of companies and universities who are developing autonomous vehicles for the outdoors. They fall into three groups: marine, land-based and aerial. And they serve all sorts of industries, from the military and shipping, but also to farming and surveillance and things like that. When you're a small company and you're trying to develop robots, testing of those robots and developing them to a level which is capable of manufacture is very difficult. And particularly in the UK, there are no facilities to be able to do that. And so a lot of companies go through wasteful repetition of activities in the same way. What the UK really needs is a facility to test and develop these types of robots. So this is called a living lab, and the CTO of Ocado, Paul Clark, who's also the co-chair of the UK government's Robotics Growth Partnership, highlights those as being places where you move from developing a prototype all the way through to standardized testing to be able to build a manufacturing. Now, it is possible to develop a living lab by building a new site, but what you really need is some very specialist requirements. You need to have something that's very secure. You need to have something that has an open space which you can work in, and you need a place where small companies can base themselves either permanently or temporarily to be able to develop those robots, and also an environment where new facilities, new capabilities on the robots can be developed. Now, when the government started looking into this, it became very clear that this is a very difficult thing to make and very costly. However, in Gosport, amongst all those fantastic historical sites, some of which are viewed more as a hindrance than a help because of their size and their condition, there are Palmerston Forts, which are three massive 4.5 hectare sites, which are Victorian forts designed to defend us against invasion. One of those in particular is called Rowner, and it's based currently on the site of HMS Sultan. The walls around it contain things called casemates, which are 60 to 100 meter squared sites, areas where small companies can work. It contains 2 hectares in the middle of open ground, which is protected by walls and a moat, which makes a fantastic area for potential robotics companies to be able to test things. And also, it is obviously both an open space, but close to a town centre, so having all the benefits that can provide. Now, this site, Rowner, really stood out for me and also for a couple of government bodies who were looking at where we can develop some of this critical infrastructure for robotics development in the UK. Rowner provides the opportunity to be able to develop this rugged robotics facility, to be able to convert those Victorian fort buildings into Shoreditch-style units that companies can come and work in temporarily or full-time, to use that open space to create controlled test environments, and to convert existing buildings, additional buildings, into internal test environments. All this being done while maintaining the essential structure and without really changing the Victorian nature of those forts. You can also set up controlled fly zones for drones without interfering on anybody's land or getting in anybody's way, and also create a rapid in-house facility for fabrication and prototyping. So we've put forward a bid with a government organisation called AgriEpi to be able to develop Rauner into this. And we have put this forward to the government as part of the comprehensive spending review. The idea is to be able to bring in infrastructure like internet connection and roads and facilities, to be able to restore the existing site without building any new buildings, to be able to create space for potentially up to 50 new companies to come in and potentially 2,000 people to be able to work there. And this is all at a cost that is significantly less than it would cost to be able to build a facility like this separately. As you can see from this, there's a fantastic opportunity to make Gosport the hub of a burgeoning new industry with lots of fantastic opportunities. And there's a lot of support around this, as well as the council, who have been instrumental in supporting us moving this forward. We also have support from our local MP, as well as Paul Clark, as I mentioned before, the chair of the Robotics Growth Partnership, the head of robotics at the Manufacturing Technology Centre and the offshore renewable catapult. Industry is supporting us as well, including venture capitalists such as Rabobank, advanced engineering companies such as Kubota, and most of the large robotics companies that are based in the UK, including a lot such as Saab CI and Leapguard, who are based very close to this area anyway. So there is a fantastic opportunity here, we think, to be able to bring a new and exciting technology which reflects Gosport's status as being at the cutting edge of advanced technology, whether that is once building the UK's televisions, also to build hovercrafts and inventing hovercrafts, and currently a centre for advanced technology for the defence industry. So we're very excited to talk about this. And we're very excited that it's possible to not just bring something new, but also take advantage of the fantastic history and the buildings that are in Gosport to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ben. I think you'll all agree that sounds incredibly exciting, and I think it's great to have a company so vested and interested in Gosport and its future. So thank you for that, Ben. And now we move on to our third and final theme, which is all about taking a fresh look at how we develop our place. We've referred to this theme as the environment of fresh thinking. So as a community, we are committed to doing things differently. The time has come for fresh thinking to bring it all together and to capitalise on our assets and our opportunities. We embrace innovation and creativity, attracting entrepreneurs looking for inspiring studios, offices and workspaces in cool heritage buildings with interesting addresses, auras and textures. We will develop our skill base by thinking regionally and working with Hampshire's universities, continually looking upwards across the region and beyond. We have already begun work on Gosport's ramparts to make them a go-to destination for walkers, those interested in the town's history, or people just looking for somewhere to enjoy the views and relax. Via the Gosport Heritage Action Zone, we will showcase more of the town's historic fabrications and make them accessible and attractive for residents and visitors alike. As towns and cities across the UK wrestle with reinventing their high streets, Gosport has the assets and vision for a plan to create a town centre for leisure, pleasure, residential and community use. As one of the first high street heritage action zones with over 100 independent shops, we will promote and support our traders with an emphasis on customer service and specialist knowledge. We will revitalise our retail market with specialist themed events and support for startups. We will upgrade historic shop fronts and repurpose upper floors to create spaces for offices, meeting rooms and studios. Who better talk about this theme than Andrew Barnett, who's Managing Director at Flight Track. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who's attending, and thank you for everyone's commitment. I'm really pleased that I can support an initiative like this. I've been in this area for the vast majority of my life, and I've probably personally gone through the trials and tribulations and frustrations of seeing our wonderful place, that is Gosport, its physical area, not achieving what it should achieve. I'm passionate about seeing how I can drive that. And I finally got to a position, both from a corporate perspective and a personal perspective, where I feel as though I can proactively make a difference. I think it's a collective that can make a difference, but that might be heralded by individuals raising the flag and raising the banner. A bit of background about me and Flight Track and why we chose Gosport. Clearly, I like Gosport. I'm a marine person. I enjoy what it offers me. From a technology point of view, Flight Track actually started in 2017. And it was the realization of my Internet of Things smart enablement dream. By gathering some funding from the city and being able to set up on the South Coast in one of the few places where you can still buy property, which is interesting, in few places where actually a proactive involvement from the council rather than a lot of promises. And I have to single out one individual in that particular regard. Ian Bridges has been incredible on behalf of Gosport Council of genuinely getting business engaged locally. So it works very, very well. So as I say, 2017, we kicked this off. We focused on aerospace, and yes, I am in an aeroplane, but I am based next to Solent Airport, which suits me for a whole variety of reasons. We design and manufacture monitoring and tracking solutions for aeroplanes, rail and marine, and all of the data that we collect on a second-by-second basis is delivered down to our innovation hub in Gosport. So Gosport is very central. So the two drivers for me was looking at office space that was expandable and support from the local council. My view has not been only tainted by the fact that I've lived here. I've been around the world and I've seen other things. But for me, innovation and creativity is about creating an environment, a physical and mental environment that works. And being on the South Coast has been amazing for that. COVID has highlighted some very, very interesting things. I had to repurpose because the aerospace industry and the rail industry have both been pretty dormant. And to repurpose, I went into PPE, design and manufacture from Gosport, donating locally initially. I'm proud to say that from here, we have protected over 30,000 lives right across the UK, delivered from Gosport. I was delivering during the lockdown using my rib to the Isle of Wight from Warsash. I organised an aeroplane to fly from Solent Airport to the Isle of Man, delivering face masks and face shields that were made here. So it was very good to fly the local flag. This has been very much about networking and very much about people. And this is a great environment to work through. So that PPE story has been pushed out also for me starting a Dare to Dream Foundation. That is to plough some of my profits back into the local community. And I work very closely with the Gosport and Fareham Academy to drive through education. This is about getting the youngsters coming out of the educational system enthused about what the future could hold. And what I'd love to see is I'd love to see some of those people come to work for me, but I'd love to see all of the potential talent that we can grow here, kept here. there is no real reason for us to drive outside of this locality. We can experience everything good about work and lifestyle here in Gosport. That's the essence of my story and my dream to date. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew, and thank you very much for the contributions that Flight Tracker have obviously made in recent times to the COVID measures. That's wonderful. So thank you on behalf of everyone, I think, for that. So and I think your passion for Gosport and indeed the opportunities is inspiring. So appreciate your time today. So we've now heard about the three themes we believe articulate our distinctiveness and why this place should be thought about, and our key economic advantages, the things that make us special, the things we can capitalise more on, and the things that we need to challenge ourselves to deliver on. These are the themes you can look to use to hook your messages onto when we speak about the place, the things we accentuate on focus on, and the assets and strengths we believe will ensure our place stands out from others. Of course, there are other things we want to talk about, but we will need to use the three themes as our anchors. So finally, as part of our story, we decided to headline these themes with a more emotive behavioural statement that is reflective of the aspirations of Gosport as a place. We've highlighted this as Gosport, our growth is natural and new. Gosport's geographical location and coastal advantages, temperate climate and heritage assets made us a great naval port. Using these same assets, we will evolve naturally to become an integral part of a world-class global hub for marine and maritime activity, and become a first port of call for businesses by offering an attractive location and unique heritage buildings to set up, relocate and grow a business. Hundreds of years of military defences and naval buildings are being converted in all sorts of ways for commercial, tourism and residential use. Gosport's new story will bring employment skills, training, volunteering opportunities, community cohesion, health and wellbeing opportunities. With the natural growth and transformation of Gosport's infrastructure and assets comes the evolution and transformation of the people who live and work here, its culture and its community. A more self-sufficient economy and higher local job density will provide a much larger employment base, opportunities for skill specialism and a broader range of job opportunities for local Gosport residents. Our change in mindset puts Gosport at the heart of a bold and exciting vision for the town and the Solent, as a key player in driving forward the regional and natural economy, representing a great value location with easy access to London. To give her perspective on this, I'm delighted to welcome Debbie Gore, Head of Planning Regeneration and Assistant to the Chief Executive at Gosport Borough Council. Welcome, Debbie.
Debbie, you're on mute. Sorry, you're still on mute, Debbie.
Is that okay?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, technical issues had to be one. So thank you, Andy, for introducing me. My role is Head of Planning and Regeneration at Gosport Borough Council and Assistant to the Chief Executive. It's been so fantastic to hear the enthusiasm from the other speakers. And I just wanted to sort of give our take on the overall story and the journey, the incredible journey that we've been on over the last 18 months with John and his team. I think for the council, the big idea and the story is about capturing these overall aspirations and approach based on an informed understanding of our challenges and strengths and taking a fresh perspective on that. And just taking a step back, I've worked for the council for 30 years, and when talking to people, both in my day-to-day job, friends and colleagues, people have always said, oh, Gosport is a difficult place to get in and out of, and there's nothing really there. And I was always astounded by that, because it just caused a frustration for me, because it's a fantastic coastal location. We've got fantastic heritage sites and wonderful open spaces. And my observations have been that there are lots of people working incredibly hard and doing brilliant work. So why are we not then achieving that positive change that everybody wants to see? And taking a step back and looking at that, it's about trying to create a clear, joined up strategy to really challenge and challenge that perception that people have. So it was time to take a fresh look. And John and his team came along right at the right time to help us do that with their external perspective on things. And things are really now starting to align well, and we're getting the building blocks in place to take the place forward. That's been really built on a foundation of genuine engagement through the Thinking Places consultation exercises, but also work that the Solent Local Enterprise Partnership did in terms of putting together the Gosport Infrastructure Investment Plan, which really captured all of our challenges in one place, in one document. We were all aware of these, but actually having something that captures it was really helpful. And it talks about our infrastructure issues, job density issues that we've heard about earlier this morning, with the Navy withdrawing over several decades, trying to make sure that skills and training are aligned and meeting the needs of businesses, dealing with some of our challenging sites, the viability of these, challenging the perception issues and the low aspiration. And we started to identify actions as a result of that. It's not just about producing strategies that sit on a shelf. We need living, breathing documents to really help take us forward. And this is very much about building on our strengths, as we heard this morning. Fantastic waterfront location. We're at the western side of the whole Portsmouth Harbour area, so there's a strength in that, because we in looking at different layers, not only with Gosport, we're part of Hampshire, we're part of the southeast, and everybody understands that Portsmouth Harbour is a really important and valuable place to be. We have incredible naval heritage, lovely environment, well-established businesses, and it's capturing that to what makes Gosport special and different to other places. We know we need to deal with our infrastructure issues, and there's been progress on that with various highway works on Newgate Lane and the Stubbington bypass coming forward, working very closely with the County Council to help address those issues, addressing broadband, dealing with perception, as we've said, looking at some of our heritage sites, and building closer links between business and education to make sure that the training lines up. At the strategic level, we're currently reviewing our local plan, which sets out land uses across Gosport Borough. We've also got a live consultation currently underway on our economic development strategy for the next 10 years. And over the last couple of years, while I've been in my current role, it's been very much about building relationships with external partners so that we are taking a joined up approach. Talked about the Local Enterprise Partnership, County Council, the MOD, One Public Estate to help us with funding for helping with the sites that are being released, and of course building relationships with businesses. And it's really encouraging to hear the positive feedback about Ian Bridges, who's been doing fantastic work, particularly through COVID, to help support the businesses in Gosport. We've got a number of sites which are moving forwards. Pretty's hard. There's approval and works underway to convert all of the listed buildings back into beneficial use. The enterprise zone at Daedalus, works on Royal Haslar Hospital are now proceeding, and conversion works a number of the listed buildings there. UK Docks have recently started work at the remaining area at Royal Clarence Yard for maritime use, and also utilising some of the listed buildings there. And we've had a number of references this morning to the HAZ, the Heritage Action Zone, which is a borough-wide project. We've been allocated and given this status by Historic England, who recognise the positive engagement the Planning Authority have had to really focus on the heritage sites and try and bring them back into use. It's focused on looking at uses for some of the forts, some of the wider sites in general, carrying out studies and viability exercises so we can really understand what's involved in bringing some of these buildings back into use. We've heard about Fort Rowner and some positive movement in terms of looking at that, and we understand the costs and challenges in respect of that. Projects involving our scheduled ancient monuments, conservation areas, and also with our High Street HAZ, which is focused on the town centre. We've been awarded nearly £2 million in grant money to help support the businesses, exploring new opportunities for employment, looking at indoor markets, supporting the museum with their proposals and development. And also we've recently been given some good news that the Transforming Cities bid that we've been working with the county to deliver the new public transport interchange, which is really the gateway to Gosport as people arrive from the ferry and buses, to really utilise that, provide a better facility for people and create a heritage centre. So when people arrive in Gosport, all of our fantastic sites are signposted. And through the projects that we're doing through the HAS, we're trying to join the sites up so people can walk, cycle, really enjoy the existing ramparts and open things up for the public, and also create unique working environments for new businesses. And not forgetting also our country park as well. There have been developments there. So it's really about joining everything up, having a clear framework with clear priorities based on ongoing engagement with our communities, and to try and get a new positive and confident outlook for the borough, playing on our strengths and improving the environment, creating new employment opportunities, supporting business, and working together with everybody. And the council has a key role in helping to facilitate and coordinate this, but we're not leading. It's really about all of the stakeholders getting together and working to take the borough forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. I think you can all agree that there's definitely a significant amount of activity taking place in Gosport. And to now talk about how that links with our partners at Hampshire, I'm pleased to introduce David Fletcher, Assistant Director for Economic Development at Hampshire County Council.
Thank you. Just to double check, I have removed the mute thing. So I will start. Thank you, first of all, just for giving me opportunity to give the Hampshire perspective on today. We've been advocates of developing the Gosport story right from the outset. Not only because I think the Gosport story itself is important, but the process and the journey that we've gone on with stakeholders to get to the point where we have the story to launch, I think has always been a key sort of added value in this whole initiative. So yeah, as I say, we've been really supportive from the very beginning. I mean, as we've heard from the people who live and work in Gosport, I mean, obviously an incredibly proud place, a place with real character, a place with a real history. Of course, what's important now is that we utilise that maritime location and the other assets in Gosport in a 21st century context. At a Hampshire economic level, I mean, two key sectors, there are many others, but two key sectors I wanted to highlight. One is obviously marine and maritime. That's absolutely huge for Hampshire. It's worth about £5 billion a year, and directly and indirectly employs something like 150,000 people. So absolutely huge. And similarly, the visitor economy, that's a big sector for Hampshire, particularly in employment terms. It employs something like 10% of people in Hampshire. So again, very, very significant, worth about £3 billion a year to the Hampshire economy. And Gosport has a key role to play in both of those sectors and others, of course, into the future. I think what's been great on this event today is just hearing the diversity of businesses that are already operating in and around Gosport. As Debbie has already alluded to, there's already lots of investment going into Gosport. The enterprise zone has been going on for some time now, but the waterfront opportunity at Daedalus in Gosport is a great regeneration opportunity, already attracting interest from some key national developers. And the Stubbington bypass, which the County Council is heavily involved in the delivery of, which will be completed in 2022, that's going to have a huge impact on the connectivity of Gosport into the future. And of course, businesses, large and small, continue to demonstrate their confidence in the place. Standard Aero, you know, they have aspirations to make the Gosport site one of their key centres in their European operations. I mean, that's a fantastic opportunity in its own right for Gosport. Of course, we're in an interesting time, aren't we, where we think business operating models and the ways of working in the future might well change, and people might be seeking more flexible ways of working, more home working, etc., etc. And I do think in many ways that plays into the hands of places like Gosport, which can offer that maybe the greater potential to achieve that elusive work-life balance that people are seeking, particularly because of the quality of life and again the location that Gosport offers. We at the County Council are facilitating a Hampshire version of this story as well, and because we want to articulate more coherently the assets and opportunities in the place of Hampshire, and we think Gosport is a fantastic part of that wider Hampshire story. So yeah, we wish Gosport well. We'll continue to work with you as a positive partner. And yeah, the only thing I can think of in terms of Gosport now is potential. All very exciting. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that's really useful to know, and definitely part of Hampshire's story needs to involve Gosport and vice versa. So we've now heard the themes that are our focal points, why they're relevant to the organisations, and a view of our ambition and aspiration that's at the heart of our new sense of direction. I hope you're enthused like myself, because I certainly feel that this is a part of a project that will support and invigorate the work that we're trying to do to raise the profile of Gosport, the wonderful opportunities that we can offer. But I guess there's also some odd lingering thoughts that all of us have about how this can work and what will make a difference. And will it just be a flavour of the month? Well, I would like to invite Thinking Place, the place specialist organisation that have helped us in creating our own story and to brand us, to give us their perspective on where Gosport is at, what we can achieve, some examples of success of other places, and what your role could be within that. So please welcome their founder, John Till.
Thanks very much, Andy. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you all today. The interesting bit, as we often have in places, it's sometimes we don't know them. I'd never been to Gosport in my life, and what a fantastic place. And it has been a real pleasure working with everyone there, discover, unearth and pull together what is a brilliant story. I want to talk about creating purposeful places. I want to reflect on the changing nature of place. I want to show you very quickly what some others have done and to look at the opportunities that this approach gives you. The first thing to say is that places are changing, and this is simply being accelerated by coronavirus. Now, the places now, it's not just about shopping, you know that. It's about sharing space. It's about a place where the community can come together. You can have meetings. It's about leisure. It's about functionality and fun. So that experience of place is so important. It's about transforming some of the centres into a place, yes, of leisure, but also where you live and you have a fantastic experience. The other thing that's really important, and it matters to the likes of Gosport, is about a place that you are comfortable in, a place that you're happy in, and a place that you're actually proud to call home. And how much has that mattered in recent times when it's been quite terrifying living alongside, as we continue to do, the virus. And Gosport has got all of that pride, and it has got the ability to take that and use that even further. So if we look at some places, we'll start with one a little bit further along the coast from you, a lot smaller than you, and that is Newhaven. Newhaven, really interesting, and a port with ferry to Dieppe. It's on the South Downs National Park, part of that. It's got a beautiful coastline, but it's also an industrial place. It's kind of had a little bit of a negative image. What they've done is they've looked to use this in terms of changing the perception of the place. They realised, a little bit like has been described, they didn't have a joined up story. Lots going on, an enterprise zone, but they needed wider investment. So this is them using their story as part of their Future High Streets Fund bit. So one way of using the narrative. The next one is North Notts. Not surprisingly, it's north of Nottingham. It's a massive place, but only 2 little places in it, Worksop and Retford, and miles of forest and trees and miles of agricultural land. What they did was they looked to use their story to create the biggest business district in England. And that's been incredibly powerful. So they had the story, had the leadership group, they had ambassadors, and they could get 3.2 million to keep going over 5 years. And all of that is through having this different approach. If we go to a place near me, Burnley, post-industrial place, not too far from Manchester, but struggling because a certain Mr. Beeching put out a bit of rail line. So what they did was they used their story and their place leadership group that came out of that to lobby government. They got 9 million quid, they put back, they halved the journey time to Manchester. Imagine what that means to their local economy. The next one is Medway. Medway, for those of you who don't know, in Kent, is actually 5 towns. And what they've done is they've brought them together. They have used the story to really facilitate businesses, organisations, and the 5 towns coming together. So they've created an amazing ambassador network, which is about buzz, networking, momentum, people understanding what's going on in the place, a little bit like you've seen, and you're going to hear a little bit more about a Gosport version of this going forward. And such is the confidence that has come from this, and it's only been going 18 months, they're actually bidding for UK City of Hull. Finally, I'm going to go to a place that when we talked to people in London about it and asked them what they thought of Coventry, we got back blitz, bombing, Lady Godiva, concrete, and they used to make cars. Not exactly great for a city trying to build a 21st century economy. But over 7 years, what a journey they've been on. And they've been on a journey that has resulted in them actually winning UK City of Culture for next year, which is incredibly amazing for them to even think about bidding for it, let alone winning it. So those are some places, and let's think about you guys now and the journey. The one thing that you can do with this is place is a magic thing. It holds people together, it brings them together, and you can do astounding things with place. And I've shown you just a few examples. First of all, it's about having the confidence and the belief to do things differently, to take risks, to do it together. And you heard Debbie say, this is about doing it together. If you all sit back and expect the council to do everything, it won't work. Not because the council aren't good enough, because it's about all of you. And that leads me to my next point. All of this is about collaboration. It's about leadership and collaboration. So the first thing is widening leadership. You've heard from people like Andy, who's brilliantly held the show together today. They don't have to do this. They don't have to give up their time for Gosport. They're doing it because they care and they want a better place for everybody. And that widened leadership is so important. But they also need support. And that's where the collaboration comes in, because it only works if you all come together to help them, because it is about that activating everybody. And finally, we're at a time, as we all know, where we're not going to get any big investments. You're not going to get huge handouts from government. The economy is struggling. So you've got to make the most of what you've got. Celebrate. We're hopeless at celebrating. You have so many things to celebrate. So finally, all of this stuff is great fun, but it's about inspiration and perspiration. So you need to inspire people to get on board with it, but it will be hard work. It's hard graft, changing image. And the last point that I want to leave you with, one message, is this. It's so easy to moan about things, right? It's easy to moan about the congestion, the difficulty of getting down the peninsula, etc. I get all of that. But if there wasn't a peninsula there, what would you be? It's part of your sense of place. All that water that surrounds you defines you. It defines your specialness. So you have so much. You're part of, yet you're separate to a great city. You have history, stories, and greatness in your DNA. You have fantastic businesses. Listen to the stories. And you have a strong community. You have opportunities around these MOD buildings. You have a quality of life, and you have more water than you can shake a stick at. And people love water. What a story you have to tell. I wish you all the best.
Well, thank you very much, John. I'm sure you will share with me the complete delightship, passion, and enthusiasm that John has for the places that he's worked, and also the positive impact that have been seen by implementing such things as the Gosport story. So now I'd like to update you and conclude on what's happening in Gosport and what's going to happen next. When we look at what has been achieved to date, I think it is worth remembering that this project has only been underway for a few months. I've been involved from the start, and considering the enormity of the task, we have moved at pace because we all wanted to get delivery and making a difference to our community underway as quickly as possible. We've been very fortunate that we've already brought together a place board of key organisations and individuals from across the area who've overseen the development of the story. We have a fantastic set of new imagery to help tell the story. This will be available for any of you to use. It's free, and the image library will be added to throughout the year beyond. And I'm very aware that a picture paints 1,000 words. And when you see the placeboard story, some of which I think has been displayed on screen as I speak, you'll be able to see the positive aspects that Gosport has to offer. So how can you get involved and support the development of the Gosport story as we move forward? We're very lucky in that we've already had many individuals and companies who are quietly great ambassadors for Gosport, who promote the place, speak up for it, and want to be part of taking it forward. Some of them have spoken on this platform today, and I know that you're in attendance here too. We want to build on the fantastic work these individuals and companies are doing by creating a team Gosport approach. We want to create a place network that gives businesses and other organisations the chance to come together to learn about the development of our place, to see how they can play or be part and create relationships that benefit themselves and the area. This will provide high quality opportunity for us to come together and understand the place that we support. We have heard from John how much he has achieved by similar efforts in other places such as Coventry and Warwickshire, Burnley, New Haven and Northampton, to name but a few. A key part of their success has been the development of an ambassador-based approach, which enables members to hear about new initiatives and developments first from the people that matter, being invited to events that are shaping the place, acting as spokespeople in the media and developing new initiatives with each other. Therefore, today we are launching our own ambassador network for Gosport, totally focused on helping all of us to tell and sell our new story. The purpose of the programme will be to bring businesses and community organisations together to really put Gosport on the map. We've heard about the great story we have to tell and how much we have been proud of what we all need to do in order to achieve this together, to all act as ambassadors for Gosport and to cascade the story about this wonderful place. We all have connections within and outside Gosport, and we can all do our bit by spreading the word. And now we have the tools to do this. We want to take this story viral. Imagine the impact that we can have by all working together to achieve this. So our success is critically based upon this. We want Gosport businesses and organisations to join up to the Gosport Ambassador Network programme, where you'll have the access to all the imagery and tools to support the promotion of your organisation within Gosport. The opportunity to come together every 2 months to hear from leaders and others across Gosport, share best practice, network, and come up with ideas of how we promote Gosport further. This could open up new opportunities for your own organisations to meet senior decision makers across Gosport, raise your profile, and keep you up to date on all the latest developments in Gosport and our region. Together, we can show that our place is confident about its future, and we are all part of a movement towards driving prosperity for Gosport forward. We've achieved an awful lot behind the scenes in just a few months, and I feel that we are at the start of a very exciting journey, and I really hope you're able to join us at our first ambassador meeting. The date and time will be set and sent out to you all shortly. In addition to this, you will receive a copy of your own version of the Gosport storybook in the next couple of weeks, a few pages of which you will have seen on your screens whilst I conclude this presentation. It now remains for me to thank our contributors to today, and most of all, thank you for giving up your time. I hope you all support this new approach and feel energised by the words and actions you've heard today. I'd like to wish you all a great day and wish you, your families, loved ones, and those in your organisations all the best for a positive Gosport future. Thank you all for attending.